started my YouTube channel 1 year ago today, and I cannot believe how quickly this year has gone by. Honestly, I cannot believe all the things that have happened in this year either. I was completely unaware that I was approaching this 1 year anniversary for my channel until last week. I happened to just check, oh yeah, when did I start this channel? And I would have just uploaded a normal video. So I'm really glad I checked it last week, but here we are, 1 year. We've had ups, we've had downs, but I want to tell you the story of how I went from being just a photographer to actually stepping into YouTube, what inspired me, why I chose to do it the way I've done it, and maybe a little bit of what I have in mind for next year and the years to come. I've told you guys about my photography story before, but today I want to fill in a few more details and kind of color in the picture that I painted previously. What I spoke about before was how I went from landscape photography and also just how I was inspired to go and dive deeper into photography in the first place, and then eventually ended up doing portraits, and that's the main thing that I do today. What I want to talk about today is how I went from kind of just starting out, trying to learn photography, getting used to my camera, everything that inspired me in the very, very beginning of kind of stepping into the technical aspects of really understanding photography, not just, say, taking a phone and snapping a picture here and there. And how that brought me all the way to the point where I started a YouTube channel and tried to share my knowledge, my skills, just a few tips and tricks here and there with you guys. And you might notice our filming location is once again outside, as was my filming location with a previous story that I told on my photography journey. And the reason is a lot of my photography journey has happened outside in nature. Last time I said that the area I was in, it was a new area to me, not an area that I necessarily grew up in. But this is actually one of the very boardwalks where I went when I first got my DSLR camera, and this is where I took some of the very first pictures with that camera before going overseas and learning more about photography. And I mentioned kind of that journey and that time period in my previous story, where I went to Australia for 6 months, and that's really where I transitioned from doing landscape photography into portrait photography. But the funny thing is, when I was here last time and I was taking those pictures before going overseas, I was doing a lot of landscape, a lot of nature. I had many pictures of birds and other insects such as dragonflies and butterflies that were in this area, and it was a great day. But I also took some portraits, and those are actually some of my favorite pictures from this day. So I'll show you guys that, and then I'll go on with the story. So right before I went to Australia for 6 months, actually it was probably maybe a month or so before I left, we came out here and we went along the boardwalk, because one of my favorite things to do is actually go out in nature and walk in areas that maybe aren't so busy. And that's what's so great about this place. We're in wilderness, Garden Route, South Africa right now, and the boardwalk by the lagoon is just so beautiful and so serene, and you've got so many little parts of nature surrounding you, little birds, little bugs, crickets, little noises. So I really enjoyed that, and I came out here and we were taking these pictures, and what I realized recently is that even though I talk a lot about photography, I don't necessarily show a lot of my photography on here, and I don't necessarily get out to film on locations. It's always a very boring setup that I have, or to me is fairly boring, and I want to change that. So how did I come from being out here taking these pictures to a point where I was on YouTube making content and talking to you guys all the time? Well, the first thing I want to say is I've always been a natural public speaker, natural teacher. I've also worked in teaching, and I've had a lot of training in the fields of teaching and presenting different types of courses. So it's something I'm very familiar with, which made the transition from just taking pictures to actually making videos and talking to a camera very natural, because it's something that I have a lot of experience doing, although in other fields, not necessarily photography. But as I was transitioning and focusing more full-time on photography, just getting in front of a camera and talking to you guys was one of the easiest ways that I could connect. And I started out originally doing this, making a lot of reels on Instagram. And if you go and look, you're gonna have to scroll a little while to get down to the reels that I was doing, but I was doing a lot of reels on Instagram. And I was doing that for maybe a year, and I started to realize, even though that was a great way of connecting with people and I was having really good feedback, I just wasn't able to actually put enough information into such a short video, especially at that point in time. I don't even know if you could do a full minute on your reel because Instagram was just limiting the time so much. It was kind of in the early days of reels still when I got started, and then, you know, you added time later on. But I just felt very limited in that, and so I decided, let's give YouTube a go. There were a lot of challenges. There still are a lot of challenges, and I'm still working on growing, and I often look at my own videos and I'm quite the perfectionist at times, and I see so many areas I want to do better. But that just comes with practice and dedication and doing it again and again and growing with time. And that is what I'm dedicated to doing. I feel like I've already started stepping into many different things which have improved my videos greatly, from sound to lighting to scripting. And I'm excited to see what comes next. It's really crazy for me to believe that it's already been a year that I've had this channel on YouTube. At the same time, it feels like so much more than what you could fit into a year has happened in this year that has just gone past. Including in my personal life, actually moving from a city that I've lived in for 6 years back to my hometown where I am now, and where I'm able to take these incredible videos in nature, in these amazing scenery. However, at the same time, that in some ways felt like a step down. And many times, even on the learning curve, I felt like I had to take a step down before I could grow and learn, and maybe, hopefully, take another step up later on. But I had to keep going to get to that point. It's not every day that you get to learn a lesson and apply it directly after. Many of the things I've had to learn throughout this journey of YouTube is really by trial and error, and I even went through a period of not posting at all because I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing anymore. I had moved, I didn't have my normal setup, it was confusing, I didn't have inspiration for videos. But then when I was able to step back in, I feel like I made a massive step forward. And if I compare the videos I was doing before to the videos I'm doing now, part of why I think these are so much better and so much more inspiring as well as inspired is because I was able to take that step away. And while I was stepping away, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get back into it. I have to, I've got to find a way, but I don't know how this is gonna happen. And yet when I did, it was just perfect timing.